Sure I did that all wrong.
Yeah, I think you did. I don't
I
think the countdown actually was shown.
Because yeah, I had a countdown go. I have to check notes with Gerald or somebody who knows better than me about this. I did the countdown and I'm sitting here waiting, watching it count down. But then it said go live and I hadn't clicked the go live button. So I don't know if I'm supposed to go live and then click the countdown.
Yeah, I think you hit the countdown and then hit go live. Um, and I think that's the way it works.
Well,
Gerald, let us know how it
well, I
works.
had to do this the other day. I think Gerald said you're live. I said somebody in the chat, please type in you're live because I can't tell if we are yet or not. I'm assuming we must be by now. I think I have a.
Yeah, we're live.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there we go. Okay, and that's the other thing. If I have a YouTube window open and it's not muted, then you get this echo. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, you can't mute it until it starts going, and it won't start going until it pops for live. I don't know. It's such a mess.
Hi, Alex.
Gerald
And
says start countdown, then click go live twice. It is odd, and we
mm,
are live. Okay, thank you, Gerald. And hi, Alex. Um, so it's good to see you, Kristen. And it's funny,
yes.
I was just thinking that I haven't done a live with you, I think, since you and Gerald during my channelversary last year.
Yeah, I think
And that
so.
was in July or something. So I actually have another one coming up fairly soon. So,
Wow. Yeah, and I think that might have been my last live. So I'm very rusty. So
oh, well, it's
yeah.
fine. Do you have a little beverage or anything like that?
Yeah, I just have some fruit punch in my High Priestess mug.
That's
So
good. I was
yeah.
tempted to have lemonade today, and I didn't have any lemonade in the house, but I have one of those little lemon shaped squeeze bottles of lemon juice and sugar. I
Yes.
thought I'll just make my own. It's not really as good, but
No.
it felt like a lemonade day to me.
But
So, what we're here to chit chat about today is the fairly recently released Trionfi Della Luna illustrated pips. Now, I was going to ask you, do you have the non illustrated pips version? You don't.
no,
I got that probably not too long after it came out. Um, and I was not a Deviant Moon fan. I never got the Deviant Moon, although I've gotten almost everything else by him. But for me, the Deviant Moon had this really weird, seedy, oily, greasy, urban night, dark alley feel to it that just kind of
uh-huh.
rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know why. And then when they finally came out a few months ago with the paradoxical version, I got that because I kind of liked the weird coloring to it. It didn't have that same greasy dark night feel to it.
Hi,
And
Debbie.
now, what's that?
I was
Oh,
saying hi to Debbie.
yes. So I had that and enjoyed it for a while, and now I sort of got it out of FOMO because it was a limited to 500 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pre-ordered it before it was available. And I worked with it for a little while, and I found even the paradoxical one, I just kind of don't relate to the Deviant Moon. Some of the cards just don't don't resonate with me. So I have it in my purgatory box, and I
Oh,
probably will resell it to whoever wants it. But I did get an
yeah.
offer from somebody in Europe, but I don't want to go through
Mm-mm.
send.
It
But
took me a long time to warm up to the Deviant Moon. I hated it for a long time. It just viscerally turned me off
mhm,
for a very long time. But then one day I'm like, you know what? I really like this. And so
mhm,
I bought it. Um, and it does. I think you described it very well. It has that oily back alley feel. And it's also used with a computer. So he digitally enhanced it. And so it has that sort of feel to it, as opposed to the, the Trionfi that has sort of the woodblock feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it has a really, there are some really beautiful cards in the Deviant Moon, but then there are other ones like people sort of with metallic, robotic kind of body parts and things. I can't remember which suit they're in. And it's just like, no, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And I bought a lot of his other ones, and I love the Trionfi. I think that was one of the first ones I really loved, because I liked that it was printed like on a brownish paper, and sort of has that kind of wood block, kind of old fashioned look to it. And the Oracle of Black and is it Black Enchantment or Dark Enchantment? I think, can't remember now. That's like that too, like wood, black ink, wood block on brown, like brown parchment paper or something. So, and even Mildred's Pocket Oracle kind of has that quality. But that's the one thing I really love about this new version is the color palette.
Yeah.
And also, as much as I liked the previous version, I'm not that big a Pip fan. So I can read it. I can read Marseille, but I do sort of like Smith Waite translations in my head. So it's like I'll see the Six of Swords, and then I think, oh, wait a minute, that's people crossing the river in a boat. So it's like I see the card of these alignment of six swords, but I don't think about that. I visualize the Smith illustrations, which is kind of a crazy way to do it. And so when this one came out, I thought, ooh, fun, it's fully scenically illustrated. That's a kind of an odd thing too, that says illustrated pips, because they're all illustrated pips. It's just the pips are scenic illustrations.
Yeah. But I bought it on an impulse at like 3 a.m. It was like 3 or 4 a.m. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm so glad I did, because I love it. I mean, there are some cards that I'm like, it's going to take me some time to warm up to those, or I'm not sure how I feel about those. I have the Deviant Moon, and then I have this one, and that's it. Like the paradoxical ones, I have trouble visually making out what's on the cards with the paradoxical.
I wanted to say hi to Jonathan, who just popped in. Another thing, I love the color palette of these. It's colorful, but it's not an intensity of color like in the Deviant Moon. It's sort of like washed out a little bit, kind of almost like watercolor or something.
Yeah.
But it's very colorful. It's just that the colors are muted. And I think because they're muted, they feel warmer and friendlier. Yeah. And also, this particular deck, it's got its creepier side, but because it's softer and warmer, it doesn't feel as creepy. And there's a more better balance, I would say, of friendlier, nicer, more pleasant cards. Some of the images in this, I think, are actually sweet and not so creepy. And I also like that some of the images are close. They're like different sizes. Some are from distant full body, some are like face close-ups. And all that variety really appeals to me. And I have a bunch of different decks by him, but I think, I hate to say this because it's always the newest, shiniest thing appeals, but I feel like this is going to be my favorite of all his decks. And I'm already using it more than the others. The others I kind of collected as like artworks, but they just sat on the shelf. I never used them.
Yeah, I think this one has replaced the Deviant Moon, and the fact, like, I'm in love with it, like, and I'm not exactly sure why, and I don't know if it's like new shiny or what, but I can't explain why, but I'm just really attached to it. Like I I'll take it up to bed with me.
Mhm.
I take it to work with me. So yeah, I'm very much in love with the colors and the playfulness of it. And like, there's just some cards that are just so sweet and just childlike, almost like they'd be in a children's book. And I was actually showing my mom the deck. You know, my mom's in a nursing home, and I always, whenever I get a new deck, I show my mom. And
Mhm.
she was like, that reminds me of something out of like a Grimm's fairy tale.
Mhm.
So yeah, she thought some of the cards were pretty hilarious. So
Well, that sounds like a really fun activity to sit and talk with your mom and look at cards and what do you see or what do you think of this picture?
uh-huh. Yeah, it is. It's fun.
So, are you finding it easy to work with or
Yeah.
challenging or? Hmm,
No, I find it pretty easy to read with. Um, so
I
how about
I
you?
am surprised at how easy it is, although I'm finding things in some of the cards that are different things than I have found in the regular Smith Waite cards, or um, sometimes I won't read what the card designation is at first. I'll just read on what's going on in the image or what pops out at me. And then I'll say, oh, that's the such and such card. And I didn't realize. And that adds a different layer for me.
Hmm.
So I like that it has a little more dimension to it than just a regular RWS card. That
Hmm.
there are so many different emotions and attitudes in this, like haughty attitudes, pride, shame,
Hmm.
sorrow. It's all over the map, and I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, like the anger that you
Hmm.
see in the sun card, like them fighting,
Hmm.
and it's that adds a whole new layer to, and then the sun is staring down at them, sort of like being that guardian
Yeah.
and saying, okay, you two are going to behave. And that just adds a whole new layer of meaning that you can read from the card.
It's a different way of looking at the sun, I think. It's like not where my mind goes right away. Well,
Mm-mm.
I always think of the sun as, oh, happy day. It's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a beautiful sunshiny day in the neighborhood, but not when I look at that version.
No. Uh-uh.
I
No,
got
like I think it could be read as like I know this is an overused term, but toxic positivity, like sort of the sun
mm,
is forcing them to be happy. Like, okay, you are going to get along, you are going to be happy.
mm.
Um, so
I got this beautiful little silk brocade bag I found for it, which is perfect color for
nice.
the card backs. And
Mm-hmm.
it's little squares, and we've got little squares on the cards. I got it in a tin too, but we'll maybe pull some cards that we like. I don't have mine in order. I did at some point want to ask you because there are a lot of options in this deck, like
Mm-hmm.
extra cards and things. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see which ones that you drew. And I had wanted to ask you if you had the earlier Trionfi. Maybe someone in the chat has the early Trionfi,
I think Alex
because
does.
if you
Give
have
me
them,
give me one sec. My computer's about to go dead.
oh,
So let me try to fix that. Sorry.
if there's anybody in the chat that has both versions of the deck and can find the moon card in the earlier version, because I was looking, there are two versions of, no, wait, did I say the moon? I mean the star card. I
Mhm.
There are two versions of the star card in this. Yeah. And I can't, the one of the kneeling woman, which is sort of traditional, I can't find in my earlier deck. And I don't know if it was, and my deck was just missing it, or if that's a new card to this deck.
It might be a
So,
new card because he did add new cards. So
yeah, well, the only ones I noticed that he had added were, well, the star, well, no, actually, see, I don't know whether the star is added new or not. He gave us a bunch of devils, a different judgment card, and I
The
forget. There's one or two others, I think.
and the what do you call it? The tower.
The tower, right?
Yeah, there's these 2 extra ones.
Yeah.
I don't have enough room to put.
So let's see, what would come first in the deck in terms of choices? Would it have been the star?
10, 15.
No, the devil,
No,
probably.
Yeah, the devil. That's 15.
So I'm curious which devil. Maybe we should show all of them. But I'm going to find the one that I picked. But I'm curious to see. Now I'm side segueing a little bit here. It's one of the things that I like and also dislike, the fact that he includes all these options for us. Because, yeah, I kind of like to choose what I want to use. On the other hand, if you pick one and leave the others out of the deck, there's this kind of FOMO feeling of like, oh, I'm using this one. I'm not using the others unless I put them in the deck as well and use them all. And then there's an imbalance, like, how do you use a deck with 7 devils or 8 devils in it?
So which one did you pick to leave in?
It's this fat woman one.
Oh, I see. I picked the skinny woman.
I can't find it at the moment, but
here, let me.
Here she is. I just thought she was so unusual.
Yeah.
And it's not typical, but the ones that were more typical, I think even the typical one doesn't have the 2 figures at the bottom. I think. So wait, show me yours again.
This is, she's smiling. It just seems so sweet.
Oh, yeah. I just have never seen a devil figure like this before. It's almost like that sort of Venus of Willendorf kind of look or something. Where's the...
See, this one, this devil, the devil himself is chained.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you use that one, it could be read differently.
Well, actually, there is this one that does have the 2 figures at the bottom. But most of them, I mean, it was a very hard choice for me. This one kind of appealed to me too.
Yeah, I like that one.
And they're all really nice. It's just, it's kind of a mix-up between male and female devils.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. Part of me likes having choices, and another part of me thinks, well, you had one in mind when you created the deck. Why are you making me choose? Why don't you show me which one that appeals to you the most? Maybe he couldn't figure out which one appealed to him the most.
Like, I love it. I love that he included all these extra ones. Like, and then if my taste changed, I could choose a different card.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing I thought too. Like, maybe at some point I'll want to change up a refresher. And that's part of the reason I chose some of the choices I did, was because I wanted to change it up from what was there before. Because in the earlier version, we had all the same major arcana. And now when I see them, I'm so excited by the new images that the old images almost feel a little bit stale because I'm familiar with them. So I generally sort of picked cards that weren't there before just to freshen it for me. So let me see what the other ones were. Well, the star, did you pick the kneeling star? No, you picked the guy with the telescope.
That guy with the telescope, that's what I picked.
I picked that one too, and I'm not sure why, except I think I didn't like as much this version of
I didn't like this version because I like the original meaning of the star, and this one sort of takes a negative connotation for it. It
Mhm.
seems to almost be like desperation, like I'm being eaten alive by bugs and fish.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
there's no sharing of the water into the water
mm-mm.
or on the land, so it doesn't have
No,
the same read anyway.
no, uh-uh.
And I do like this one.
Yeah,
I can't remember which traditional Marseille deck. Is it the Biville? I think it's a Swiss deck, has a guy looking through a telescope at the night sky.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm not
So,
exactly sure how I would read that differently, or maybe I would just read it normally. Like,
well, actually, oh, I just noticed he has three hands. I didn't even see that
oh
before.
yeah,
Did you?
no, uh-uh.
Now, I originally had trouble when in reading the star, and I came to my version of reading the star is um, hope and guidance, and or hope through guidance. For me, it's all about guidance because I think of the star as, was it the North Star that's Venus or something? Or
It's the morning star is Venus.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, whatever star, the brightest star in the sky is the one
Mm-hmm.
that the sailors used to use to find their way.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the way I always think of the star, is like, if you're feeling lost, you don't know what to
Yeah.
do, trust in the guidance of the bright star in the sky. It'll help you find your way, and that will give you hope,
Mm-hmm.
so, and then there's also when you wish upon a star, you
Mm-hmm.
make a wish, so those are.
Myself as my cards make a good point. These choices show us things about ourselves. Like if you choose a specific card of all the variety, it
Mhm.
might actually say something about you.
Yeah, and that's okay if you're reading for yourself. If you're reading
Yeah.
for someone else, then I guess it puts your slant on it.
Yeah.
I guess you could ask them ahead of time which one they'd like if you're reading for someone. I don't know.
That's true.
But this one, he also has on his little easel there or whatever, a map of, I can't tell if it's astronomical figures or
Yeah. It's
alchemical, but
no, it's like astronomical.
yeah, it looks kind of like not only is the sky giving him a map, but he's got another map to refer to as well to
Yeah.
kind of
And I don't
make
think I
sense of
yeah.
things. And I like the fact that he almost looks blind in one eye, and his other eye that the telescope is kind of sticking into, you see his eye right
His
there at the
eye.
tip of the scope. So it's
Yeah, I
kind of
didn't
like
notice that.
his vision is up there with the star, and
Mm-hmm.
he's pointing at it as well. So he's like holding the telescope, pointing at the star, and holding the map.
Mm-hmm.
So I like those aspects of this card. Um, Hi, Patrice. Um, so let's see. Of course, I'm just muddling about. I could have been much better organized today, but I just decided to like just roll
Just
with it.
wing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Oh, the judgment card is another one.
Yeah.
So
Which one did you pick of that?
I picked the one where they're in the jaws of hell.
Yeah, I did. I picked that one too.
I think because I'm so used to the other one, the sort of judgment from above. Oh, here we go.
Like
So
it
here,
kind of reminds me of Hieronymus Bosch,
uh-huh.
his artwork.
And it's funny because I always think of Patrick Valenza as the 21st century answer to Hieronymus
Mm,
Bosch.
yeah, I totally see that.
But this one, this judgment does speak to me of judgment, even though it's not the one we're used to.
Yeah.
It's and I like it. It's sort of refreshing in a way. I get
Hmm.
a little tired of that airborne bugler. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then another one is the tower. And again,
Mhm.
I switched it up from the usual tower because I'm used to that. But the house of
Yeah.
God, I have seen in other decks and I'm familiar with it. And it just feels refreshing to me to have a change. And it feels very similar to me in a way that the figure, I'm sorry, I'm so slow finding them, but that a figure is being forced out of the house of God
There.
in the same way that they've been thrown out of the tower. Here they're being forced out of the door
Yeah. But
of
I
the
can't
house of.
I can't put all three in this little.
Wait, is there three?
Yeah, there's the
Oh,
lightning.
right, the lightning. I forgot about the lightning.
Yeah.
I like the lightning too. I just think it's kind of a different read on the tower. But I actually love this kind of push me out the door tower, a
Well,
house of God.
well, that's what I was thinking of putting the house of God in as well as the tower
Yeah.
and
Oh,
using
put them both.
both.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because they have slightly different meanings.
They kind of do. I think because they show the building in the house of God and the action of expelling someone,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of feels like two in one for me. I think it's the label that throws me.
Yeah.
To call it the house of God feels different than calling it the tower. But
Yeah.
for me, the message is kind of the same. Now, I don't know if there was a different message from originally in the one labeled house of God.
Yeah, the house of God is like you're trying to escape and some demons trying to pull you back in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
uh,
I don't know where that term comes from, house of God. I don't know why he chose that.
Alex had to go. Patrice hasn't separated the extra cards yet, but will before she uses it. And Gerald has two devils in his deck and picked the astronomer. Interesting.
Oh, I'd be interested to hear about the picking the two devils, like what the thoughts were for that.
Yeah. Well, did you have particular reasoning for the choices that you did? Because I'm gonna have another dialogue like this with Gerald and Ben
Mm-hmm.
in a week or so, and I'm curious
Um,
to hear what they have to say as well.
yeah, I picked mine because she is the least, like she seems friendly, like,
Mm-hmm.
and so, and it's probably counterintuitive why I picked her. I picked her because I think she's pretty and sweet, and she actually has been haunting me. Like I keep pulling her, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I just sort of have this attachment, this affinity to her. I just think she's pretty, and so I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't pick. Maybe I should pick, one that I do find grotesque.
I
So
don't
that I
know.
can.
I think it's perfectly valid that you're drawn to that one. And if it works for you in the reading, then that's definitely the one meant for you.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know. It was just so very different than any devil that I've seen before that I just kind of enjoyed it. It has a certain comical aspect, but also I don't often think of women in this dark way. And that was sort of
Mhm.
intriguing to me somehow. I'm used to like ugly, ugly, evil, dark male devils. This was
Yeah.
just change things up for me. But yeah, I probably could have picked any of the other choices.
Maybe I will pick two, like Gerald. Like I'll keep her in it. And like for her, like I see her almost positively. Like I see
Mhm.
her as sort of symbolizing um like a woman owning her body, like letting your hair down and enjoying life, being hedonistic, that kind of stuff. And then,
Yeah, Patrice says she likes her because she's enticing,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
which is an aspect of the devil. I mean, I always
Hmm.
use my key word for the devil is always temptation, and
Hmm.
that's a pretty tempting visual.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I'll have to think about that.
I forgot what the other ones were now. We
Um,
got the star.
yeah, we got.
I think we
Did them all.
discussed that.
We did all the extra cards, I think. Star, Judgment, Tower, Devil.
Oh, and the lightning.
Yeah, the
You said
lightning.
I was kind of tempted to keep that in as well, even though they number wise they stand for the same card. But
Mhm.
the only similarity I see is the lightning bolt in both the tower and
Mhm.
that card.
Mhm.
But it feels a little different to me if a lightning bolt striking a tower that you are dwelling in versus just what looks like a shepherd out in the field. It's not really threatening his sheep or his livelihood or his life, but it
Mhm.
has struck this tree. I don't know. It feels like there's a myth or a story behind that. I'm not sure
And
what
you
it
have
is.
the yoni symbol in it, so it sort of
Mm.
like symbolizes like a fertility, like there's something being born from it.
Well, that's interesting because it's both male and female there because it's phallic. It's a
Mhm.
tree, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like to read this. I mean, you could say, well, this is the trauma you have to go through to actually develop in the way that you need to develop. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
I love. Oh, this is one I love. 6 of coins.
Oh, okay.
And this is really different too because the 6 of coins.
Hi,
Hi, Zane.
Zane.
Um, the 6 of coins is what?
Hmm?
Oh, sorry. I didn't
Like,
even
who are
say
you
her
talking
name and
to?
she's answering me. I thought, who is that breaking into my chat here? And I don't know how to stop her. Thank you, Siri. Okay, she went away. I don't know how she heard her name when I said 6 of coins. But anyway,
I don't know.
the weird thing about this one is that's the one that usually isn't it like a charity thing or something? I
Yeah.
believe so.
Uh-huh.
And this is weird because look at the water dripping out of his hat. It's
Uh-huh.
sort of like if it's charity, this one almost speaks to me of giving someone, it's a question of giving someone what they want versus what they need. Or in this
Mm-hmm.
case, um, giving someone what you think they need instead of what they actually need. Because here's a fish in the desert. They don't really need coins, they need water,
No.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
is it the question of the fish being tempted by the coins or the giver uh, thinking that or thinking that the coin is a prize rather than the water, which is
Yeah.
much more of a vital need. So I think that's an interesting card.
Yeah. I
Um,
pulled my favorite card in the deck is the High Priestess. And I think she's so beautiful. And I actually am thinking of getting this as a tattoo. So
if you look really close at the print on her dress, it's
mm-hmm.
very subtle, but it's almost like a paisley or something, but it has that same uh, female kind of imagery in it.
Oh, okay.
Um, oh, and you know about this weird,
Yeah.
you know about this mistake, so-called mistake in the deck, right?
Well, yeah, he ate it. Like, I think it's obvious that he has something in his stomach.
I'm not so well, yes, but I'm not so sure. I don't think it's as obvious as we thought. Well, first of all, when I first saw this, I just saw the title and all the cups and didn't bother to count them. So I wasn't even aware it was missing a cup until somebody in a chat or online pointed it out.
Mhm.
And then I
Mhm.
thought, oh, damn, that's a mistake. And then I thought, well, is it a mistake? Let me look in the PDF guidebook and see if he mentions it. And I think I wrote to him too. And I wrote him with a couple of suggestions. I think it works either way, but I get a different message from this card than usual, because the usual Nine of Cups has this sort of sense of satisfaction. And this
Mhm.
one doesn't feel satisfaction so much as gluttony.
Gluttony.
You
Yeah.
know, it's so that's a kind of a different message, I think. Like, and
Yeah.
even like, you know, that expression, oh, my eyes are bigger than my stomach, you know, like I ate
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
So there is that there, but somehow it feels less obvious to me that it was planned rather than an oversight. I'm not convinced.
Uh-huh.
I think if that's what he really intended, it fell short a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Like I almost want to see, you know, a fragment of a cup somewhere in the background, maybe with chomped into, or maybe an impression of a cup on his belly rather than just a big bloated round shape. I don't know. I mean,
Uh-huh.
now that the explanation is out there, it works. And, you know, I had a make it work moment anyway, and you know, figuring out how to interpret that card, but it didn't feel purposeful to
Uh-huh.
me. That's just me.
Okay, so your card, what do you think of it?
I like it.
You like it?
You know, it's funny, since I adopted that as my significator,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about it before, but now since I so identify with it, every deck I look at that card and see how is it depicted, and am I comfortable with it or not, or does it read right? And I think this one is a very sweet, pleasant card, but it still reads right for me as the Three of Wands,
Mm-hmm.
because he looks a little dreamy, like, oh, there's three wands there. Now what's next? What do I do next? Or what's my next step? Which is kind of the way I always read the Three of Wands. He's standing between the three, kind of like on the edge of a cliff overlooking the water, like, I've come this far, but what do I do next? Is kind of the way I read it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I can't remember if it's in the two where he's clipped one off. I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I
So
have it right here.
that's kind of like he's, you know, he's cut one off. He's considering what to do about the next one. And in the three, he's kind of gone beyond that. So it's like, it's no longer a case of trimming the hedges. It's now like, I better give this more serious thought about what I'm going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
So the contemplation. And also in the sky, we have both sun drops and raindrops. So there's this element of uncertainty and possibility. You can go both ways, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which I like. Also, if I can find it, I'm trying to remember if it's this, I think it's the moon card. If I
Yeah,
can
where
find,
he's sleeping, it's right here.
um, wait, that's the moon?
Yeah.
Maybe I mean the star. Wait, no, the star is the one with the
With the
telescope.
telescope, yeah.
Wait a minute. I noticed something, and now I'm sorry, folks, that I'm taking so long to find my cards. That's my own fault.
You're fine. Take your time.
No, it's not the moon card I was thinking of. I like the idea of the moon card, and that the moon is sticking out its tongue at this sleeping figure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, and sometimes I read the moon card as uh, sleep on it and think it over in the morning, which
Oh,
is
okay.
kind of what this card is doing.
Yeah.
But there's an element, usually for me, the moon card with the two dogs is like a domestic dog versus a wild dog. So it's this almost this element of logical thinking or intuition versus maybe not intuition, logical thinking versus wild animal instinct. So there's that kind of like, how do you deal with your pathway down the road? You know, you can't see everything by the light of the moon, but do you follow your reasoning or do you follow your wild instinct as you're making your way? So that's kind of how I read that card. No, the one I was thinking about, I don't know why I said moon card, is the Wheel of Fortune, which I thought was funny when I saw it this morning. I just noticed something I hadn't noticed before. That's the problem with 78 cards. And it's not even in the bottom of my deck. It's in the other pile.
I got it.
In that one, if you notice, you have a red side and a green side of the wheel, which for me is like polar opposite, stop and go. Like the wheel's going to keep turning, but in some stages it'll stop, and the other or give you the message you better stop or reconsider something. And the other side is kind of green for go, so keep going, keep pushing through. There's also in this one that I don't believe is in other wheel cards. For God's sakes, where is it? I must have flipped through it 3 times. At the top, you see the 4 elements around the wheel, and I don't think that's in other wheel cards.
Yeah,
you notice
there's the cup, and then there's the pentacle. Where's the wand and
they're held by the imp on the top of the card.
Gotcha.
Top of the wheel.
Yeah. No.
So I thought it was sort of interesting because I believe the cup and the pentacle are referred to as the 2 feminine or female sort of suits, and the sword and the wand are referred to as the male suits. Well, maybe I'm not saying that right. Not male and female, but passive active is what I should have said. So you got the one at the top of the wheel with the active suits, and the ones sort of clinging to the wheel going around it with the passive suits, which I thought was really intriguing with regards to the symbolism of the wheel. I hadn't seen it in other wheels before. I don't believe it's in the other ones. And I still can't find my wheel.
Weird.
I mean, do you recall that in any other versions?
No, never. And it seems like it would be such a simple idea to add in.
And I like it because I always have trouble with those. I think they're religious references, the 4 beasts on the 4 corners of the wheel usually.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what to do with those. And this one just, I found it finally. This one just makes more sense to me. And I like the one with the active suits or symbols who look sort of sleepy and unaware at the top of the wheel. He's almost falling asleep. He's kind of relaxing, cross-legged there. And there's an eye in the middle of the wheel. And the wheel also is a tree. It's rooted. So even though things keep spinning, they're rooted in something. And they're rooted in difficulty, apparently, because it looks like blood coming out of the roots. And there's hope, but there's hope because there's stars in the sky. So it's just interesting to me, some of the different symbolism that's kind of thrown our way in this deck. And I know there's a card that you don't like, the 3 of Cups, right?
Yeah. That's one that's going to have to grow on me.
I think I'm okay with it, but it's a little different take than we usually get in the 3 of Cups.
Like the fart and fire, it's just I don't understand the need for farting fire.
Well, that's a Valenza thing, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
That's his humor. I don't like
yeah.
that it. I don't like that it's on the back of the box because I think it's too prominent a placing for the
Uh-huh.
deck. I think it's his sort of fuck you to us in a way. But I noticed this morning that this is a kind of a sarcastic version of the joy of hanging out with friends, because
Yeah.
usually the Three of Cups is like this joyous gathering. And this one's almost kind of backbiting or insulting or making fun of your friends when they fart or burp or something. and,
See,
and
I
look,
see it. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what I noticed this morning is the liquid coming out of the cups looks really weird. And it looks to me like wagging tongues. So it's almost
Oh,
like if anybody were going to be spreading gossip about you, it might be these people you're hanging out with. And you're farting and here they're having a laugh at your expense. It's kind of the
that's
way I
funny.
read this Three of Cups.
That's funny. I read it differently. I read it as, she's farting fire. And
Mm-hmm.
so her friends are kind enough to lift up her dress to keep it from catching fire. They're like, "Oh, we'll help you." It's sort of like when your friend is vomiting and they're holding your hair, you know.
That's what friends are for.
That's what friends are for. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've just had some spicy food. They're at a spicy restaurant and they're still
Yeah.
enjoying their drinks, but the food hasn't done well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that take. Were there any others that you found interesting, different things in?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them. Like
Here's the,
there's a few of them that I wasn't fond of.
I think it's interesting in the Two of Cups that she's pregnant, and it's sort of like she's she's dipping her toe in the water. She's sort of getting her feet wet, in
Mhm.
this romance with this person.
I really like the Three of Coins. I
Oh
absolutely
yeah,
love that little boy and with his tongue sticking out. Look at this.
yeah.
I just think that is so precious.
It's a very sweet card, and I like
Yeah.
the sort of almost three-dimensional quality that the missing coin on the wall has.
Mm-hmm.
That it almost, you can almost see a depth there to know where the coin he's making is going to be set into the framework.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoy that. I was going to say maybe pull out the sweet cards, because that's something about this deck. We're all familiar with Patrick's dark, creepy side, but this one, I don't know if I'm repeating myself or if I, I think I did say after we went live that I like that this deck has different sizes and sweeter aspects as well as
Mm-hmm.
the lovely soft warm palette.
Yeah.
I mean, like this one, I love the little skull and crossbones is like a
Yeah.
cute little baby doll in there.
Yeah.
And what was
Yeah.
the one?
This one. I
I love
just
that
think,
too.
yeah, it's just so cute.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that has a different feel to me from the usual card, which is usually the gardener. She
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look to me as much to be a gardener as someone who loves her garden, which is almost the pride of is it the Nine of Pentacles, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Except she doesn't have a kind of a above it all boastful pride. It's just like she really loves the flowers in her garden.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very dear. I
Yeah.
like the Six of Cups is very sweet too,
Mm-hmm.
very friendly and sweet. And let me see.
I really like the Nine of Coins. I think that's very pretty.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful card. Yeah, that's different too. It feels much softer to me
Mm-hmm.
than the boastful nine of coins lady.
Yeah.
It's very. Actually, that one has wings. I don't think the usual one has wings. So she
Mm-mm.
has this angelic element almost. This one threw me a little bit. The wand suit has a lot of devils depicted in it throughout.
Yeah.
And I always look at this one as someone sort of like standing defending their territory, but against aggressors. But devils always feel to me like the aggressor. So it's kind of like, oh, is this the townsfolk rising up against the devil? Or is it, six other devils fighting this particular devil? I don't know, but it's a little bit hard for me to read that one.
So what do you think of the three of swords?
I like it.
Yeah, I do
I'm
too.
gonna find it. Yeah, it's interesting because the swords are within the heart, like they always are, but this one they're like within the body.
Yeah.
Except it's almost not even a body. It's kind of like a cage or something, and you see the expression on the guy's face
Mm-hmm.
that's um, not quite. How do I put it? I blew this today by not putting my cards in order. Okay, this is almost fear or fright on his face than it is like heartbreak or you know
Mm-hmm.
the depth of sorrow. And he's revealing it. It's on a pedestal almost. It's splattered there, and you see blood coming from the clouds instead of rain.
Yeah, and
And
it's like if he closes his cloak, you don't know that he's hurting, you know?
yeah, it's like I'm bearing my soul to you. I'm revealing to you how
Mm-hmm.
I feel. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. And
Yeah.
and from his head, you just get that feeling of it's not completely heartache. It's how that impacts his thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's almost like he's frozen in place. He can't move because he's so upset, so
Mm-hmm.
heartbroken.
See what
I
else.
kind of like, I even get some joy out of the evil cards like this one. The expression on the seven of swords guy's face
Uh-huh.
is so kind of yeah, kind of words. Yeah, it's just almost like old school villain. And then this is like old school miser, the
Yeah.
wringing of the hands, and it's like, yeah, I love the fact that I've got all this money.
And what do you make of that beast in the background, that wraith thing?
Well, actually, now that you say that, I mean, I thought it's a death figure, but
Yeah.
this kind of reminds me of Dickens' Christmas Carol and Scrooge.
Oh
Because
yeah.
here he is hoarding all his money, and here's the ghost of whichever one it was that looked
Christmas yet to
the
come is
darkest.
the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
This eight of coins is a little different, where he's digging for coins. I mean, it's a
Mm-hmm.
manner of work. Usually we
Mm-hmm.
see someone creating or chiseling eight coins or whatever, but here they're digging for treasure, which sort of it's a little different because they're not creating their wealth, except they're digging up what somebody else has buried there. I don't
Mm-hmm.
get the impression that he's planted stuff there. It's more of like, I mean, he could be reaping it, but it just feels more to me like somebody else put it there. And
Yeah, it's like buried treasure that he's trying to
yeah,
find.
this one I think is interesting because of the two-faced nature of it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
mirrored images. And yet look how the arms are kind of interlocked. They're
Yes.
I mean, if it was one figure looking forward, you could cross the swords like that. But since it's got two heads, it's like two figures interlocked going opposite directions. And sort of that's like, what do you do when you're on the horns of a dilemma, so to speak? Because it's got two horns, trying to decide what course to take, which is very two swords for me.
I like the strength card because it's different. And it makes me think of, was it Samson in the Bible that pulled down the pillars?
That version of the image for the strength card is in a lot of Marseille decks, and I can't remember what it's called there. It's not called strength, though. It's like something like, not determination. Force. Yeah. Interesting. So it is a matter of illustrating strength.
Yeah.
Oh, Jackie's here. Hey, Jackie. And Scott. Hi, Scott. Sorry, folks, if I haven't been paying enough attention there. I'm not very good at that.
So one card that stuck out, me as a Norse pagan, this card stuck out at me is that have an extra layer to read it, because like one of the ways of reading it is through the myth of Odin, who hung from the windy tree to get the runes. But he's also wrapped in a snake, and the snake Jormungandr was Thor's enemy. So I could see adding another layer onto reading this card and just pulling from that myth, and just fighting chaos. And so, yeah. Just a little Norse nerdiness, that's all.
Yeah, I had that in a reading this morning. I'm trying to remember now what the other two cards were. I know one was the Fool, but I'm trying to remember what the third one was. But my basic reading of it, it might have been the Tower. I don't think it was. I can't remember what the first one was. But my basic reading of it was, because I'm not getting out much. And the reason I'm not getting out much is because I don't like the great masses of people that are running around in my neighborhood misbehaving or self-entitled or whatever. It's like, it overwhelms me. So it's kind of like, get yourself out there. And even though you don't like the behavior, you need to move ahead and to not get hung up by what those people are doing to you.
Yeah.
Here again, we've got a dark side and a light. We've got a green growing side and a red chopped up sort of side. So it's this kind of stop and go thing. It's like, here I'm letting myself get overwhelmed, wrapped up in what other people are doing rather than pursuing what I need or should do for myself. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. You also have here in the Fool card, it's kind of interesting because, again, we've got fire and a laughing butt here.
Yeah.
we've got walking away from greenery and nice things, which are kind of being poked fun at by this fire breathing and laughing ass, moving towards fire. So, and then you've got the moon looking a little bit unhappy, and you've got the sort of unhappiness in the face about moving forward, and we've got a devil speaking in the ear, kind of prompting you to go forward. I don't know. There's just a lot of things going on here. There's above this ridicule from the butt, we've got a star too there. So there is hope despite all this. And then I see the checkered board on here, the they're diamonds actually, but I think of the checkerboard as like taking steps to move forward.
Hmm.
I had this thought the other day. I was talking to Natalia after we had our online thing, that I had a couple of different notions about the court cards. I never liked the court cards, and I had two new sort of revelations about them. I think one of the reasons I don't like the court cards is because they remind me of authority. When you think about it, the king is our president. He governs the land. The queen is also a governor, but in a lesser role. Like she may be a senator, a governor, a mayor, town hall chairperson, or whatever. So it's still involved in governing, but in a not as powerful, staunch sort of way. Because the king is always, really firm on his throne. It's like, yeah, he rules us all, but we have certain expectations that he has his limitations. And the queen is a little bit more malleable. She can like kind of more of a negotiator. She can be more diplomatic. She can do things a little bit under the radar. Then the next thing that we have is the knight. The knight is our police force and our army. They're our enforcers. They're the one who enforce the laws of the king and the queen. Then further down, you have the page. And what does a page do? He delivers things. He's the post office. He's the mail person. He brings us packages we love, but he also brings us bills. So here we have these elements of the government that control our day-to-day lives. And I think that's what I don't like about the court cards, that they're a reminder to me of those four elements of the hierarchy of society that we don't feel like we have any control over. Then there another way of looking at it is like a chess game. So in a chess game, the king is like I said, he's all powerful, but he's very limited. He can only move one space in any direction. The queen is probably the most powerful piece on the board. She can move a lot of different ways, almost no matter how far. And she's kind of sneaky, but she really has all the power. She can kind of like maneuver the king into, doing what she wants. And then you've got the knight, and the knight can move very different ways around the board, kind of slinky. So he's the one that's kind of very active and really the one that we kind of lean to attack. And then the page you have is the pawns, which can't really do much but the bidding of the king and queen. So I don't know. I mean, you can take what you will from that, but I just thought it was a couple of new ways of looking at or relating to the court cards. My card says, are there only 78 card decks left? How do we get the alternate cards? Tower, Devil, Star. Oh, the alternate cards come in the deck when you buy it. Now, I don't know how many are left online. I don't know what the print run was for this deck.
I don't know how many. I think it was like 200, 500. I can't remember. But this morning, Patrick said that there were 50 left.
Oh, so there you go. Know your limits, but if you want it, don't wait. Run and get it. In fact, I just ordered another deck today that I think I saw a Simon review recently. I think it was called the Nuage Tarot. And I can't decide if I like it. I have a feeling it's one of those decks that I probably am not going to use for a while. But I think if it goes out of print, it's going to be one that I'm craving. So it's like, and it's about $23. I thought I better get it now because if I want it later, it's going to go for a fortune. It may not because it's US games, so it could stay in print for years. But it just seems like one of those things that we look at a deck now that was US games years ago, and it's long unavailable and goes for a fortune.
Yeah.
It feels like that kind of a deck to me. And it's actually not new. I think it came out last year, but I hadn't seen it before. But it has a similar kind of palette to this deck. It's almost, though, like an autumny palette with like black and orange and pale browns. It has a real warm feel. And I love the warmth of this color palette of this deck. I'm sorry if I think I muddled a bit too much today. Everybody's bailing on me. Scott says he loves the ass cards.
Yeah. Let's see. We have the Hermit card is one that I pulled because like the light is coming from his fingers and not a lantern. And he also looks very disabled, almost like he has rheumatoid arthritis. And so I just thought that was interesting and might pull other readings into it.
I like the rays coming from the fingers. I'm not clear on the 2-finger. I think it's a religious thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, it means teaching.
Oh, that's great.
It's a teaching symbol.
Well, then that also is kind of like the cartoon image of a light bulb, like an aha moment, you know? So if it's teaching, it's a teachable thing, like pay attention to this, learn this. I like that. Then that one was, that was in the earlier deck. So that one's not, I'm more familiar with it. It's not as fresh to me as I almost wished that he had redone all the majors for this version of the deck, just because I know the other ones from before.
So is the Lovers, is that one that's the same?
All the majors are the same.
Okay.
I think the only majors that aren't the same are the Extra Devils and the Star.
Because I just found it interesting that it's not Adam and Eve in the Lovers card. It's Eve and the Devil.
Yeah, or I guess what would be Eve and the Snake in a way.
Yeah.
The snake sort of represents the devil, I guess.
It depends on who you ask. I think in Christianity, the serpent became a symbol of the devil, but originally in Judaism, I think the serpent was a serpent.
Oh, this is one of the cards I often love. I think of the Deviant Moon, this card in the Deviant Moon is my favorite card, and in the paradoxical version too. I don't know why. I love the depiction of the boat that he does. I think in the other ones, it's a boat attached to a balloon or something. But I really like that one. And then I also like the one with the house in it. I think it's the Four of Wands. It has a really a very pretty appealing sort of cottage to me.
Yeah, that's cute.
It's not it's not necessarily a friendly house, but there's something very almost like gingerbread house to me about it. It's very welcoming in a way, even though with the eye and the door isn't so welcoming. But I don't know. There's something about the visuals of that card that I particularly like.
You have a new person that just popped in. Giovanni Benuto from Mexico.
Oh, hello and welcome.
Just a random beginner from Mexico here, thanks to the algorithm.
I also like the Five of Coins. We don't have 2 figures in it, but we do get that beautiful, chilly, cold, out in the cold thing. I think a lot of it depends on that little icicle there on the window in the back, but it really gives a much colder feeling to that card than we usually get.
Yeah.
And this one, the Five of Swords, reminds me a little bit of, I think somebody has done a Two of Swords like that, where they're with the decision they're making. They're about to cut their own throat. I can't remember which deck that is, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting ideas in this particular Five of Swords, in the sorrow of it, you know.
Mm-hmm. I really like Temperance. I think that's a beautiful card.
Mm-hmm. I wonder why her neck is so long. That one I remember very well from the earlier version of the deck. Although, and it wasn't until this morning, I think, that I noticed the elephant in the background, which is strange.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how to relate an elephant to temperance. Maybe sort of strength paired with peace or something.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe having something to do with memory, because they say they have a good memory. Don't know.
The Five of Cups, this guy is like drowning in his own tears in a way.
Yeah, it's like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, and the bleeding moon there. It's yeah. There's a lot of sorrow in that. I love the playfulness of this Two of Coins, balancing the coin on his toe. It's like,
yeah, and his round little tushy.
Yeah, very lighthearted. I like the Ten of Wands, another devil in the wands, but you know, sort of like hunchbacked, and all that weight, you know, all those things to carry. I really love the way that he's used all these various expressions. You know, that they're really very engaging, I think.
Now, one of the cards that it's gonna take a while to grow on me is the Hierophant. I don't know if Scott is still here, but he does a shadow and light exercise where you find the shadow card and a light card in a deck. And I did that, and I chose the Hierophant as my shadow card in the deck because it's just there's just something about it that just viscerally, I don't know.
I never liked that card because I can't get away from seeing a monkey in the face of that.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I was like, he looks like a monkey.
And that doesn't jive with me with the Hierophant unless you're making a pointed notion about the church, the organized religion or something. But you know, or like playing the fool or being a fool, or you know, not knowing what you're doing in terms of leading your congregation or something. I don't quite know what to make of it, but it's very irreverent, I think, to depict a Hierophant as a monkey.
Yeah, and I don't even know if that was deliberate or not. It must have been. Yeah.
This one, I mean, again, I kind of like the riding in the water, but this has a real misogynist feel to me that kind of bugs me. I don't like that kind of like, you know, there's a collar around the throat and he's like grabbing hold of her throat and riding her.
Yeah, I never thought of that, but yeah, I could see that.
This one's interesting. The Four of Swords, like with the baby inside. This is kind of almost like I depicted that Nine of Cups, like sort of a vague outline of a cup being on the belly in a way, because we shouldn't be able to see inside of this flower, but we do. And that says something about the Four of Swords. Although not what I usually read in the Four. In the Four of Swords, we usually read like sleep or rest. And this doesn't read as rest to me in a way, maybe because the eyes, even though they don't have pupils in them, still look open to me or something. I don't know.
He looks like he's meditating to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the position, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think of it that way. Meditation would be very much like at peace and going within and taking a break, but he's still guarded by all those swords.
Hmm.
You get the sense that they're guarding him more than they are trying to attack him or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I've gone through all my cards.
Yeah. I was trying to see if I had any others that I thought were particularly charming, but I think we did them all. Well, this Nine of Swords is intriguing to me. It's one of two or three cards where we've got a close up in the deck,
Hmm.
and it's very strongly that nightmare image, even
Hmm.
though they're not sleeping in bed. But I like the fact that it's kind of blown up and given us a different depiction to consider.
Yeah. And I love the Ten of Swords.
Yeah, that's different. I think there's something like that in one of his Oracle decks. I can't remember which one, but
Actually, in Deviant Moon, it's the Ten of
oh, is it?
Swords. Yeah,
Oh,
only it's showing it from the inside of the
oh,
box.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what else to talk about.
I think we
Oh,
went through everything.
Giovanni has just found this. I think you can only get it through the Deviant Moon website, and there's only 50 left, supposedly. So
Yeah.
if you're interested, look at deviantmoon.com. And a number of people have left.
Yeah.
That's okay. Thank everybody for coming by, and I don't know what else to say. We were just going to have a little chat about this deck, and I think we've chatted ourselves out for now. Or at least I have. So thank you, Kristen, for
Yes,
joining
thank you
me
for
for this.
having me.
And we'll have to do it again on some other topic,
Yeah.
and maybe I'll be a little better organized next time. All right. Thanks, everybody. And we'll let you go and see you all again soon. Bye.
Bye.